Get out there in the sun. All the guys are excited, fired up, a lot of great energy on the grass today. And then we got just amazing weather, 65 degrees and sunny. I mean, you can't beat it. So for this time of year to be able to get outside and work on your craft, it means a lot, to just be connecting together. And we're excited about this week.
Did the later practice time have anything to do with kind of simulating what time you guys would play this week?
It did not, because we had to wait to see the outcome of the Atlanta-New Orleans game. We started our game planning really later that night, and then we needed the full day as a staff to put that together. So we just kind of needed this morning as well to make sure the cards are right. All the guys, all hands on deck to just make sure we're prepped and ready for the practice. So that's why we did it.
Dave, playoff performance can kind of make a guy's career and reputation, especially at the quarterback position. How excited are you to see how Bryce does in this moment?
I'm so fired up for Bryce and for the whole crew, but these are the moments, and in my mind, when we've put Bryce into these high-stakes situations, he's performed well, whether it's going for it on fourth down, end-of-game type of stuff. It's an area where he just continues to execute and do the basics and the fundamentals that we ask him to, and so these games are like that, and when you're playing a great opponent like the Rams, all the little execution and the fundamentals are so important. And so I love this challenge for our group and especially for Bryce.
You guys have played so well as an underdog in these sort of the games where nobody thinks you're going to win, right? What's your message to the guys in those situations? And I would imagine going into Saturday when most of the people outside the locker room think you may not.
Well, I understand that there's always the favorites and there's always the point spread and all those things. We can't really think about that, and I know that the guys are aware of it. I know that I'm aware of it. I see it on TV. It doesn't matter. What matters to us is to play our best football, to make sure that we execute, and it's going to come back to the fundamentals. Did we block well enough? Did we tackle? Did we take care of the ball? That's always what it's going to be about, and that gives you a chance to win, and I fully believe that. The group believes that, and that's what we have to go out there and find.
On the flip side of the young guys going into the playoffs, to follow up on Joe's question, are your rookies still rookies at this point? I mean, the guys that you've kind of leaned on throughout the year, watched them develop, where do you see those guys in terms of their progression as they've gone through now a full season and heading into their first postseason game?
Yeah, this young group of rookies have been really professional in how they've worked and battled through things, bumps and bruises, and also just battled through the emotional, mental toll that an NFL season can take on you. And they just really stayed together and take to the coaching. They've been humble about it, and have been great, just being coachable on the little things that they need to continue to improve. And so, and then, when I look at this group, there's guys that have been in really high stakes games. Lathan Ransom was a national champ before he came here, and Trevor Etienne's played in big games. Bryce has played in big games. There's a bunch of guys that have exposure. It's no different. It's just in a different level, but it's really exciting for the whole group to have this experience, and also for me as their head coach to say, guys, I've been to a lot of playoff games, and you're going to see it's going to be a special moment, and Bank of America Stadium is going to be electric, and our fans are going to be completely into it. It's going to be loud. It's going to be just right. And these are the exact moments. I want them to be able to appreciate those things, but not to let that distract them from just executing and doing their job.
You've been to a lot of playoff games, but this is your first playoff game, obviously, as a head coach. What's going through your mind? What are your vibes this week?
I'm just really proud. I'm really proud of the work that it took as the entire organization and this full group of all of us, just taking one day at a time and just continuing to try to push the envelope. Just try to push it a little bit further every day. What does a win look like today? And what are the areas of improvements? Can we just get incrementally better over time? And that commitment, that consistency, that type of character for this whole group is what I'm really proud of and excited for. And then as far as, the playoff experience goes, it's just, I've been there. I know what it feels like. And it's so important that we don't just block it all out, that we take it in and use it. Use that energy. Use Bank of America Stadium. Playing at home is why it's so important to win the division. You get that first home game, and we're excited about that.
They said in training camp that teams were not going to want to play you guys. What did you see early on from this group that, this isn't a surprise for you to be in this position?
Right. I think first and foremost, just the team that Dan Morgan has assembled, and all of us are involved in giving the information, but he's done an amazing job of evaluating what we need. And while you can't fix everything at once, you just add pieces. You add high character football players, Panthers football players. The guys that we try to identify are the ones who we know we can coach them hard. We know we can push them. We know they're tough because they play through things, and certainly because they're excellent football players. And whether it's in free agency or whether it's through the draft, just continuing to accumulate players that embody what we're looking for. And so going into this camp, and I could see this group, and I could see the potential of what we could be. And it's taken us a long time to find an identity, and we've been up and down at different times. But just the promise of having this group and knowing that it's our job, it's my job to bring this whole thing together, and we get one more opportunity to do that.
With weighing Robert Hunt and David Moore playing, obviously they've been out for a while. You've gotten to this point with this set group of guys. How much do you have to weigh the fact that there were guys that help you get here versus guys who maybe make you a little bit more talented on game day?
That's always a really difficult decision for me and for Dan. As we think about the guys who've worked so hard to help us to get this point, and understanding that the plan was always that Rob and Demo were going to help us do that, and now they're ready, and we have this window to evaluate the guys, to get David back on the team and evaluate if we can have him up this week or not. We have to make those decisions too. Rob's got a couple of huge days. He looked great today. Tomorrow's going to be an elevated practice. We're going to run a little bit more, push on each other a little bit, and that's going to be a really big test for him. So we're just going to have to take that one day to day. But I'm very optimistic about he's excited about it. He's so proud to be a part of what we've been doing. He's kind of been watching it, from the sideline, literally. But to be a part of where we're at it should feel really special for Rob.
When you look back at that week 13 game, there were a couple moments, especially on offense, where y'all really aggressive. Like, how much of that was mindset, like nothing to lose, versus what you saw, and how much can you replicate that this week?
Just looking for opportunities to be aggressive, when it comes up, and, whether that's going for it on fourth down or taking shots down the field, but it all hinges upon how well our run game does and puts us in favorable third downs to make an extra set of downs. It's something that we've struggled with the last 2 weeks, really not converting a lot on our third downs, and just the timing and rhythm of it, making sure the guys understand what the breakdowns are, making sure they understand what type of coverages and things we're getting, and that will allow us to just get deeper and deeper into the game plan, into the call sheet. That's what allows you to set things up. We need continuity. We need drives to sustain so that we can show them different runs for the play actions. We can show them this pass that complements this other pass, in the screen game. So the more downs you can get, the better off you are, and the more dangerous you can be on the offense.
Dave, kind of building.
Came in on a heater, really. I mean, hot as any quarterback's ever been, probably. You guys were able to turn him over 3 times. What did you do right in that game, and can you replicate that again on Saturday?
We're going to certainly try. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you exactly what we did, but it was really just our defense coming together and doing a pretty good job against the run game to force them into some known pass situations, and we affected them with our rush a couple of different ways. And that's not just with Matthew Stafford. That's with any quarterback. If you can affect the passer early on in the game and you can be around him and just make the pocket uncomfortable, then they have to throw the ball a little bit quicker. They have to make those decisions, and hopefully you can take advantage of it.
Dave, kind of building off that.
We're going to do it. Hold on, we're going to do a couple
Give
more.
confidence to you that you can slow them down again.
It certainly should give our guys confidence that if we do right, if we all do our jobs, we can play with anybody. And that's the message that we have to take from that game is this is an excellent football team. And by no means do I think we're going to just automatically replicate some game plan that we had. It takes execution down in and down out and guys playing together.
Hold on, everybody. We're going to take David Newton, Jeff Hawkins, and Alex Zeppo.
And General, can you just talk about the defense and evolution a bit? Last year, worst in the league. This year, kind of middle of the pack, and how big that's been, and the team getting where it is.
Yeah, first and foremost, just talking about Ajero and just the excellent job that he's done. And, with the challenges of last year, what I saw from him was consistency, character, looking for solutions, and looking for ways to try to just deploy the guys that we have. We added some great pieces. Again, talking about Dan, just adding guys like Trey Merrick into the mix, and, adding guys like Turk Warden, obviously getting Derek back, Christian Roseboom, who's done a great job for us. These are guys that we've counted on to come through and to play together. And he's done a great job of just also within that there's scheme and there's understanding who your players are, bringing them together so that we have the right concepts we can execute. And Ajero and the defensive staff have been tireless just bringing these guys together. And then the players have taken a lot of that on their own and do the extra work, have the conversation so that they play connected.
Well, Mike Jackson had a big pick six in the first game against the Rams and remains among the league leaders in passes defense. Playing in the shadow of JC, is he one of the most overlooked players in the league?
I think so. I think Mike Jack doesn't get enough praise, and for the job that he's done. He's number one in the NFL in pass breakups, and that comes from film study. That comes from technique. his individual drill work, he's so focused on it. If you look at his body and his body language and demeanor in a walkthrough rep, he's in his stance just like he would be in a game. He's evaluating the formation with his cleats in the ground, so he's ready to play. And he's a guy that I've known for a really long time. He's always been just a fierce competitor, consistent guy that you can count on, and he's just also just a high character guy and a great teammate. You know, he doesn't say a lot, but he's so professional about what he does, and he's accountable to the things that he knows he can fix. So I can't say enough about Mike Jack.
Dave, that first matchup with the Rams, 4 defensive playmakers for y'all were out, among them J.C. Horn, Trayvon, Christian Rosemoon. They're all here this week. How have you been able to sense how excited they are? And then just generally, it's pretty much everyone was at practice today. Is there a playoff vibe, a sense that, hey, if I can go, I'm going to go this week? Absolutely.
You know, all the guys that, you know, Denny has been working on in the training room, all the guys that are close, they're pushing. They want to be out there with their teammates. And there's a, as much as I preach every game is a championship opportunity, there's nothing like the playoffs. And it just brings, it brings an energy, it brings a sense of pride. We know that it's an exclusive group, and we had to work really hard to be in this position, and the guys are excited about that. All right, thank you.
were going to watch the Saints-Falcons game. Did you watch the game, or did you just wait for the result at the end?
Yeah, I ended up watching like the last 2 minutes. I was trying to I was distracting myself, and I was checking on ESPN every couple minutes, watched like the end. But yeah, obviously, great opportunity. Super excited. And then now it's about, making something out of it. We have to make sure, today was a good start, but we have to make sure that we're dialed into the process. We have elite focus throughout the week to give us ourselves the best chance this weekend.
What was it like watching the game? Were you emotional? I mean, just ups, downs, and what was it like?
Yeah, like I said, I watched the last two, whenever it was, it looked pretty good for us. That was the only part I watched. So, yeah, obviously super excited, it's definitely a blessing. And then again, now it's, we're in it. We have to make sure that, again, it's that part's over with. There's no, we have to do the work now. We're excited for the process, for the work, and that's where our focus is.
Time it up to turn it on after you thought it looked good?
When I happened to check ESPN, it was like it was looking better. So, yeah.
You guys have been so good, like playing as underdogs. Like, is there anything to like the us against the world, nobody believes in us but us type thing, like sort of rallying cry in that locker room that you can sort of like lean on, maybe?
Yeah, for us, it's not unfamiliar, but we're always focused on who's in the building. We have all the confidence, all the belief within the building with each other. So yeah, for us, regardless of what it is, we know we're capable of. We want to go out and have obviously and have success. And right now, it's just the focus is making sure throughout the week we can put ourselves in the best position. Coach talks about it all the time, being process oriented. So today, just having the best start to the week we can. That'll be tomorrow to be making sure we're focused there. But we lean on and play for each other.
You guys get David Moore back. Can you talk about what an asset he is to this team, veteran leadership and things like that?
Yeah, Demo's huge. First off, throughout this whole process, even though he's, obviously hasn't been able to play in the building, he's still been huge for us. He's still brings great energy every single day. Like you said, a veteran presence for us in that receiver room. And then, now him up just, we trust in him. We know exactly what he brings. He's been in a lot of different moments, a lot of different positions. He's been very, very consistent on the field. So I have a ton of faith in him, a ton of confidence, and I'm excited for him. It's really been cool seeing how hard he's worked. He's always been on the side doing little things. He's always been trying to, chomp at the bit, and been doing great in the training room. So I'm excited for him.
Bryce, again, you guys are 10.5-point underdogs like you were against them the last time. But does it give you more confidence knowing, that last time you guys beat them here on the same field?
Confidence for us comes from within the building. Again, we trust in each other. We know we're capable of, and we're focused on the process. We're not looking at anything external. That's not something that we don't need that motivation. It's enough motivation. We're in a we have opportunity. One of our goals was to get here to win the South. We're able to get that done, and we don't need to look at something on the bulletin board to get us fired up. I'm super grateful to have a group like that. We don't take this for granted at all. We're grateful for the opportunity, but we're very internally motivated as a team.
Bryce, in that first game, you had one of your best games. I think it was the second best passer rating in Panthers history. How much fun was that, especially when there's a guy like Stafford on the other side?
Yeah, I have a ton of respect for Stafford. Amazing player. Obviously, amazing year this year, and it's not new. He's had an amazing career. And this year watching the NFC West, I've been able to watch a ton of his games, so I have a ton of respect for him. And it's fun anytime you can win. That was however many weeks ago. That doesn't entitle us to anything. That you watch the film, see what you can learn from, see how you can grow. You watch the film from that point on, see what you can study. But that doesn't entitle us to anything. Obviously, we have a ton of respect for them as a team. For us, it's about just sticking to the process. Going one day at a time, and then putting ourselves in the best situation to be successful.
I know that you guys are back to business. You're ready to get on to the game on Saturday and going from there. But playoff football for the first time at Bank of America Stadium in 10 years. Did you guys take any time to kind of revel in that a little bit, just in the accomplishment of winning the division?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone kind of did it individually. For us, just the way it shook out, we weren't all, we didn't get that whatever locker room type of atmosphere. But again, we're super grateful for that. We're super grateful for the support. We're excited for the bank on Saturday. Where the city's been behind us for forever, for me, for as long as I've been here. They've always been giving a ton of support. We're super excited. It means a lot to be able to play one at the bank. And for us, again, we come back and it's just time to focus and time to work.
I know you don't look in the past. I know we've asked you to do that before, and you haven't, and I feel like you're not going to right now. But is this moment any sweeter, considering the success you had right away in high school and is this moment any sweeter, sort of understanding what you've weathered to get here?
You might have got the answer you're looking for if there was more confidence in it. But yeah, kind of said it. Again, I'm super excited to be a part of this team. I'm excited for this year. That's all that matters for me. I'm super proud of this group. And again, the season resets. Coach talks about it all year, and just as true as ever. It's about going 1-0. Again, this isn't about me. This isn't about any individual. We have a group of guys that we're a team. We all play for each other. I'm excited for this group more so than anything.
Note though that this playoffs can be overwhelming for some people, but you've got that experience from college. How much do you lean on that? How much did that prepare you maybe for this situation?
Yeah, you always draw from experience in the past. But at the end of the day, again, I trust. Confidence comes from the Lord. It comes from the people around me. I'm going to lean on them on Saturday, like I have been all year. We're all going to lean on each other. And whenever, it's great to be able to have a group like that where again we're all united. We all know we're going in. We have each other's back. So I think that's really what I'm and probably everyone in the building is going to be leaning on.
I wanted to ask you about, first of all, just how your ankle is. I know you're obviously dealing with it. And then secondly, about Jalen Coker and his increased impact on the offense.
Yeah, everyone's dealing with something. It's, we're in playoff football. Everyone's at this point of the year, there's dealing with some. Everyone in that locker room is putting their bodies on the line, fighting through something. And I'm grateful for everyone who puts their body on the line. And just want to do my part. And Jalen, I can't say enough about, how he's been playing, how he handles himself, the competitor he is. We've asked him to do so much in the offense. We've asked him to be a lot of different roles. He's been in different positions, ran a lot of different things, run game, pass game, and that's someone that's always eager for more. He's never someone that is, why do I have to, why am I doing this? He's happy to be on the field. He's happy to take whatever it is that, the coaches want to, have for him. And again, him being, this is nothing that's surprising for me at all. Him being able to have success there. If you see how hard he works, the intention he has, the attention to detail in meetings, how he carries himself. I'm just super, super grateful that he's with us.
That first Rams game, the running game was working. He had good balance in the offense. How vital is that? Because you've seen the last couple of weeks what it's been like without a great running game. How vital is that for you to have success and for this team to have success? Yeah,
it's always very important. Coach talks about it all the time. We want to be a balanced attack. And I have all the confidence in the world in us as a unit to go out there and execute. We know that it's whatever we call out there, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be not everything's going to be the ideal look. Again, we have a ton of respect for our opponents. We know we're at the end of the day, it's going to be able to come down for us to execute in whatever way we can. But of course, we always want to be balanced. We want to be able to have we want to be able to have success in all that we do. And right now it's just about working as hard throughout the week so we can be in a good position to do that.
Last one. You guys beat Green Bay on the road, obviously. But that Rams game here, was that validation that you guys could end up right here where you are in the playoffs?
I don't think validation was ever anything we were looking for or needed. Again, we've always and always will have belief in this building. We know what we're capable of. Again, for us, we enjoy the challenge. It's about putting our best football together, trying to find that week in and week out. Obviously, this week, just like any week, it's the most important one because it's the one that's up. Obviously, it's meaningful, but we enjoy that challenge. We never felt like we needed validation. Again, for us, it's just focusing throughout the week, put ourselves in the best position, and then going out and competing. Appreciate you guys.